right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Candid Convos. And today we have a very special guest. Her name is Christina Previte. And Christina and I know each other from different organizations, but she also has a podcast, which I'm going to ask her a lot about. It's really cool. And it's like her branding is phenomenal. And I was honored to be a guest on that podcast. And so I'm excited to talk to her about that. A very cool growing divorce firm in New Jersey as well, and just a lot of cool things going on here. So, the other thing, Christina, is this is October and it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And what we wanted to do in October was really highlight some kick-ass female entrepreneurs and lawpreneurs. And so the timing is really great to have you on. I know that was an okay introduction, so please give us more detail and tell us more about the firm and about you and about your podcast.
Thank you. Well, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. And thank you for acknowledging Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I think you did a great introduction. So basically, I'm the CEO and co-owner of New Jersey Divorce Solutions in New Jersey. It's a law firm that focuses exclusively on divorce and family law. And we do also have a podcast called the Divorce Happy Hour podcast. So we try to make a little light of some of the subject matter. It's not just specifically divorce topics that we talk about, but it's really anything that might be relevant for someone who's either thinking about a divorce or going through one, or who has been through a divorce, because you still have some issues that come up from time to time. So we do talk about specific divorce issues, like how alimony is calculated or what you're entitled to in terms of property distribution. But we talk about other things too, like estate planning or what to do when it comes time to sell your house. Or recently with coronavirus, we've been talking more about issues related to homeschooling. So, when you're going through a divorce, it's not just the divorce, but it's so many other things that really touch your life. So we like to focus on those things too.
Tell us about virtual staffing. So our audience here is mostly lawyers. Get Staffed Up. We as we say, liberate lawyers with incredible virtual assistants, offshore or international. And this thing has I think been great because the feedback we get and our growth, I guess, speaks for itself. We've just been able to work with so many really fun, mostly attorneys, some non-attorneys. If it's a service business, it's really the same thing, but our niche is law firms and attorneys. And you're one of those people. You signed on for one, and then within a few months, you sign on for another. I know you have Emma and Regina on the team. Look, this is not a perfect thing. It's not like we're going to find you one person, they're going to be with you the next 100 years, and they're never going to have a day off, and they're never going to have an issue. It's still staffing, right? Employees will always be the biggest challenge for any business. That being said, you obviously signed up for number 2 because it's working for you. So, but I'll let you tell us, tell us about your experience and what you've learned and what you would, tell other people.
Yeah, so we've had a really great experience with virtual assistants. And I will say, I think the hardest part about it, if you don't have a virtual assistant yet, is just wrapping your brain around the idea of having it, because we're so accustomed as law firm owners and other offices where there's a typical office environment. We can't really wrap our brains around it. And I think that's really a mindset issue. Right? I hate when people say, well, this is how we've always done it. Yeah. But that's sort of the attitude, is especially with law offices, that's how we've always done it. So I couldn't even conceive of not having an office with all the furniture and the people, coming in every day, working 9 to 5, and myself even going to the office every day. But I will say one of the blessings of COVID is that I think we've all realized that you can do it. You can work virtually and you can do it well, and actually maybe even more efficiently than before. But I started to kind of pick up on this even before COVID, even before the quarantine experience, because we were having trouble with hiring. It was definitely our Achilles heel. It was the one thing that just seemed to elude us. And I think a lot of business owners have that issue because there's no magic to hiring somebody. You know, you can do everything that all the coaches and business management people tell you to do, right? Have numerous interviews and have different people interview them and do these various personality tests. But at the end of the day, you don't really know who is going to work out. So I started thinking about, after not having good luck with hiring, I did start to become more open to virtual staffing. The most obvious reason is because there's a huge savings financially. You know, we can get a virtual assistant for probably a third of the cost that it would cost us to hire someone in person, just because we have to hire someone in New Jersey and have payroll, taxes, and all of that. So that was one issue. But then when we actually hired somebody, we found that it worked out very well, not having them in the office, that I had the same accessibility to them, maybe even better than I would if they were actually in the office. So once I was able to actually wrap my brain around that and give myself the opportunity to have that experience, I found that it worked really great. And so great that I hired another one. And both experiences have been really wonderful. I literally do not have anything negative to say. I really don't. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on your YouTube channel. It's worked out so beautifully that I can't believe that I didn't do it sooner. And I would invite people, especially if you're having hiring issues, to think outside the box and consider having a virtual assistant. I can't think of any downside. I really can't.
That's really nice of you to say. Before the coronavirus, and by the way, it seems like people just call it COVID-19, like we're losing the word coronavirus. I don't know, just kind of an observation. But we used to have to do exactly what you said. It's the mindset. We would have to educate people. And I always think of Shark Tank when they want an investor and someone's like, it's going to take $10 million to educate the public on this new idea or this issue. We were having to say, there is something called virtual staffing. You can hire people and make people really think about it. And without painting too broad of a stroke, people get set in their ways, like you said. We've always done this. It's comfort. You know, there's really not a lot of growth. So the older the attorney, I'm just like putting back facts, the less likely they are to really engage in a big change and really shake things up. Because, you know, as my dad always, he's like, well, you know, if I was younger, but now, you know, I'm retired and I can't really, you know, be risky with my money, et cetera. And to a certain extent, that's true. So it was like constantly, like we were probably having much better success with younger attorneys. But after COVID-19, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Now everyone needs to hire virtually. And I mean, our company has grown by 35% just in the past 6 months.
Wow. Yes. That's amazing. So you were ahead of the curve.
Yes. I wish it would be fun to say like we knew what was coming, and no, we got lucky. I mean, we saw a need and we started the company in about, you know, January 2018. And it was growing. It was still doing really well, but it's just gone to another level. And so,
well, I beg to differ with you, Brett, though. I think you were ahead of the curve because you saw the value of having virtual assistants. You saw that it could work long before a lot of other people did, long before I did. So I do think that you were ahead of the curve. I think it's only because of coronavirus or COVID, whatever the name is now. I think a lot of people have now caught up on an accelerated basis, maybe faster than they ordinarily would have, just because of necessity, because we've had to be virtual.
Yeah.
So I do think that you were ahead of the curve. You recognize the value of that sooner than a lot of other people.
That's true, but kind of like your reaction was, I wish I had known about this or thought about it sooner. My reaction, because I started my law firm in 2011, and again, this really didn't hit my radar until late 2017. It was like, man, there was this better way the whole time, and I never knew about it. And that's why I'm so bullish on sharing what we're doing because I was the guy that didn't want to hire because I couldn't afford it. And if I had
Yeah.
known about this option, I think I would be, you know, exponentially ahead of where I am now. And that kind of, to another point, when you talk about the cost savings, some people, you know, aren't you guys taking jobs away from people in the United States? My argument is twofold. One, I think we're improving the global economy. You, me, everyone who's engaging in this, we're improving the global economy, which has good effects on the entire world, especially with crazy immigration issues. And two, people don't understand about small business. Our margins are not so big where we're just, you know, you start a business, you hire one attorney, and now you're driving a Lamborghini and flying around
Yeah.
in a helicopter, right? So if we
Yes.
cannot be so stressed and we can grow our firm with more affordable help, that will get us to a place more quickly where we are hiring more people in-house. It's not just, it doesn't have to be one or the other. In fact, you know, we work with a lot of people at 100% virtual now, that's fine, but they're also mixing in US virtual staff members because, you know, the paralegals, that is if anyone ever solves that, like if we could do virtual paralegals, oh my gosh, this would be a
Yes.
billion-dollar company because as you
Or virtual attorneys would be even better.
well, yeah, especially if they were if they came at a cost reduction, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the challenge. So, but anyway, I appreciate you saying that. So now we don't have to educate people. We just basically look, do you want to work with us or not? And it really pushed us. It saved us 10 years. I think it would have taken 10 years to get the amount of like buy-in and acceptance that we got because of COVID.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. You know, that's why I say it's one of the blessings that came from COVID. We actually went completely virtual. We got rid of our office space, saved a significant amount of money and just various expenses connected with that. I would also say that I'm a better people manager and office manager working virtual than I was before because I wanted to work from home all the time and it was really hard to really be there for my staff and see what was going on in the office all the time if I wasn't there all the time. So the only way that you can really handle that is either to be there all the time or hire other staff to be there all the time,
Yeah.
like an office manager or a firm administrator. So I forget what book this came from. Maybe you know, because I know you like to read a lot of business management books. But there's this saying that if you can solve one problem, it can solve a lot of other problems.
Huh.
So I have felt like going virtual for us has solved a lot of other problems.
Wow.
One of them being just managing the staff, because now I can do that virtually.
Yeah, that well, tell us about that. First of all, I don't know the book off the top of my head. That would have made me feel great. Second,
Sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot.
no, that's okay. You can't know everything. But I think tell us about. So at Get Staffed Up, we have a very structured meeting rhythm where we have our department meetings, our leadership team meetings, and it has provided, and there's still flexibility, but it has put a structure around us being able to solve problems and act quickly, which because we're growing so quickly, we need to be able to do. But tell us your method for being able to manage your people virtually, because people think, how am I going to do that? But here you're saying you're better now virtually.
Well, we have regular morning huddles. So all of us just convene via Zoom. Actually, we're using Microsoft Teams now. And just to check in, you know, remind everybody that we all still work together,
Yeah.
Give us some FaceTime with each other. We don't necessarily have to talk about business per se. Sometimes it's casual. It's like water cooler talk just to kind of keep morale up and keep that rapport going. And I will say, if there is anything negative about having a virtual assistant, the only thing that I could think of is we do like to get together at least once a month and get everybody together for lunch so we can have some contact with each other in
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Just to talk, you know, just to kind of keep, like I said, keep that rapport. And we can't do that with the virtual assistants. So that's a minor issue, but it would be nice to be able to include them a little bit. But we do include the virtual assistants in the huddles, so they sort of feel like they're getting to know everybody, even if they're not working directly with those people.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually going to start implementing one-on-one coaching sessions with each of our employees. I have a business partner, so we don't have an identical rapport with each employee. So sometimes I'll do it alone with a staff member, or Sean will do it alone with a staff member, just to find out, not just what their professional goals are and how work is doing, because they won't always tell you that. They're not always as forthcoming, because I think they try to tell you what they think the right answer is, right? Like if you say, how's work going? I think they sort of feel like they have to give a positive response, but that doesn't help us grow and change and make things better for them.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, happy employees do good work and they stay. So making them happy isn't always about what they're doing at work. It could be about personal goals that they have. And if there's something in their personal lives that we could help them with that's going to make them happier, whatever that may be, if it's getting them coaching or training on something, or giving more time off, or giving them a stipend for something else that they want to do outside of work, then that helps us too. It helps us keep them happy. So this is still a work in progress for us. We used to do this a lot more when we were in the office. Now we have to actually make more of an effort to just carve out the time for it and come up with some creative ideas. So it's still a work in progress, but that's really what we're trying to do, is not just kind of treat them like they're in an assembly line, but treat them like people that have needs, personal and professional, and try to really stay attuned to that, and make sure that we're helping them with that.
Yeah. It's wonderful to hear you say that, because it's absolutely possible to build a really good culture even with virtual staff by doing the things that you just said, and not treating people like they're far away behind a computer, making them feel like they're part of a team, meaning they're a person that's cared about by who they're working with and for. So that's all really helpful and wonderful to hear you say that. So how do we tell people how to find your blog and find your website? We got a lot of people in Florida that they hear from us, so maybe they need somebody in Jersey, and just contact information.
Thank you. You can find our law firm website at centraljerseyfamilylaw.com, and you can find our Divorce Happy Hour podcast at divorcehappyhour.com, and you can also find it wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can find us pretty much all over social media, and check us out.
Cool. I hope everybody does. Thank you so much, Christina, for being on with us. I had a great time and very powerful feedback from you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.